Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulullah. So I wanted to continue and make another follow-up video yet again to something I've been talking about on this topic of the pursuit of knowledge. And, I had the pleasure of being invited to speak one evening while just, away on vacation to the community in Austin with Imam Dawood. And there was a number of great questions that kind of emerged both during the talk and then subsequently in some of the comments and questions that people, have fielded. And so I put out another article today talking about, the idea that Islam is both an individual, communal, and even civilizational commitment to Allah Ta'ala. And that in some ways, Islamic civilization, if there is such a thing, is quite compact and portable, something that you can unpack and you can build, great, beautiful civilization. And we've seen that throughout history in several different places. And then there's also the civilization that you take with you, that you could carry, in your rucksack, so to speak. And so I've written several times about the macro, micro, and the idiocosm, right? So there's the massive level, the cosmic level, and then the communal level, and then the individual level. And so today I wrote another article up on the Substack, discussing those, particularly the civilizational aspect of building knowledge and supporting the infrastructure, for that. But the other part that I wanted to talk about here now, to flip it back around on the individual level, is I wanted to comment how, being an imam, it's a vocation. It doesn't come with a set of magical powers. It's a vocation. It's something that is done as a job. And that what I mean is, when I was younger and, as a new Muslim in my 20s and 30s, that I felt, as I had mentioned during the talk with Imam Dawood, like I personally felt when I was, 18, 19, 20 years old, as a new Muslim, working as a line cook or working as a cab driver, I felt in my mind that I was doing Islam full time, and those things were just, paying the bills, so to speak. And I'm not saying that those things were not fulfilling in some way or another, but, the reason why I exist is to worship Allah, and therefore Islam is the vehicle to that. So I always felt like I was doing Islam full time, and therefore that's why I was always so committed to learning. And so the other part I wanted to emphasize just briefly here is that whether I was working as a cab driver or whether I was working as a line cook, knowledge was integral to my life, not necessarily to my vocation. Sometimes I'll have people that will come and they'll ask me questions because they might work in the financial sector, right? They work as a banker or they work somewhere within the Western financial system. And understandably, right, they'll have questions and concerns about riba, about usury, or, other things. And while it's important to know the specifics of those, the part that I've been trying to highlight is that the pursuit of knowledge should be important to us just as a fact of being Muslim and existing. And so it should not be completely codependent upon what our vocation is, or even the idea of not just a specific vocation like a banker or a doctor or something, but say when we're younger and we're in school and we're studying and we don't have a job yet, that whatever point we are in our lives, the pursuit of knowledge and engaging in the pursuit of knowledge, that should be critical to our existence throughout every stage of our life. And so that's why I had mentioned and commented, one of the reasons why I felt like I was doing Islam full time back then, and not just now, working as an imam, is because knowledge was critical to me just to exist. And I think that, to what I was trying to say in the article today, that if we can try to go back to some of that we talked about, the civilizational building, whether that's the grand civilizations that have been in Muslim history, or whether we're talking about as I mentioned, that kind of civilization that we can put in our back pocket and we can carry with us, wherever we go, that should create an environment in which we all feel the urge and the need to learn and to study. And therefore, we can either, unpack our bags and build a great grand civilization if, that's what Allah Ta'ala blesses us to do, or we can, pitch a tent, of whatever we can fold it up in our backpack and pull out a few books and learn from there. So that's what I was trying to get at. Hopefully was trying to come across in the article. So if you have a chance, check it out. It's not terribly long, and hopefully it's not terribly, too wordy, but those were the main points that I wanted to convey in that article. And throughout all of these, videos, people might say like, man, you're kind of like, you're kind of wringing out the washcloth on this one topic of pursuit of knowledge. But, to be honest, it's something that is very near and dear to me. And one of the things that I had talked about in the talk is that I felt like not only being Muslim was like a kind of compulsion, right? Because, people always ask, why did you become Muslim? And as I always said, to me, this is kind of an absurd question. But I've always felt that Islam it's like a compulsion because the truths of Islam are compelling. And not only are they just compelling on a kind of like true or false level, but they're also quite engaging, that if you give them the time, I feel that if you give them the time that they're due, inshallah, you may also come to feel a very similar way, that what would encourage you to lead a more learned life. Again, being scholarly is different. I think that's also, as I mentioned, in the talk, that I think that term gets to be overused to the point where it almost doesn't have any real significant meaning anymore. We just call anybody that's learned anything and that's given a microphone, a screen, or a stage, we call them a scholar. And that there's no gradation. There's not, legitimate scholars. And then there are, committed learners, and, there are learned people. And we don't tend to have much of a gradation anymore. It's just everybody gets lumped into the category of scholar. And I believe, along with being an imam is a vocation, I believe that being a scholar is also a vocation. It's something that you do. It isn't just that, you've learned some facts and you're a smart person and you occasionally, pontificate here or there. But a scholar is somebody, as one of my teachers who is a scholar said, that, you study, you research, which are two different things, right? You study, you research, you also are building other students. And then your work is critiqued by other colleagues in that field. And to be quite honest, most of the people that we label a scholar don't really completely fall into that. Now, that isn't to say that because if you don't fall into that category, that you're worthless or that you don't know anything. And that was, again, what I was trying to get at in the point of the article, saying that there should be several tiers: the individual, the communal, right, and the kind of civilizational, the macro, micro, and the idiocosms. So hopefully this will provide some more insights, and maybe inshallah, I ask that Allah Ta'ala will put a fire in your heart and some inspiration to make learning indeed like a part of your existence and a part of your daily Islam, inshallah. And may Allah Ta'ala bless us, inshallah, to be amongst the people of knowledge. Rabbana zidna ilman, inshallah. We ask Allah Ta'ala to increase us in knowledge. And we'll see you in the next video. Assalamu alaikum.